On the minds of most parents is how their kids are really doing, especially mentally. And if you're like my family, we do check-ins with our kids quite a bit. But then we also ask their friends and ask their teachers and ask their youth pastor and ask their mentors how they're really doing. Because we're afraid sometimes that we might miss something, miss a cue. And this is now kind of a big deal because of teen mental health. It's something that's on the minds of almost everyone. And for parents, it can really be a dark place. But today on the Celebrate Kids podcast, in this daily segment, Face in the Dark, we're going to talk about a new screening test that's being offered for teens and young kids to gauge their mental health. But then Dr. Kathy is going to give us some helpful tips on how we can kind of do that naturally. So let's turn now to Dr. Kathy Koch.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby. Not every light is gonna guide you.
So Dr. Kathy, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, around 50% of lifetime mental health conditions start at the age of 14, and early intervention can have a huge impact. Some say that screenings can help detect internalized symptoms that may be less noticeable and can also flag early signs of a mental health disorder, which allows for earlier intervention and oftentimes better outcomes. The process involves answering a series of questions. For younger children, filling out the questionnaire may require a parent, but many are recommending that letting older children answer alone is kind of the best way to move forward, even when there may be things that they prefer to keep private. Dr. Kathy, I know that mental health is on the mind of nearly every parent. You know, oftentimes screenings like these can feel a little bit unique or different because we haven't built muscles or rhythms for them. What do you think of this idea of having a rhythm for a mental health screening like we would for vision screenings or hearing screenings or things like that?
I think that's really intriguing. I might have said that a lot of parents would look at something like this as invasive. You use many more positive adjectives like unique. But you're right. You know, if the research is showing us that these mental illnesses begin early, and it's true that many of them are invisible at first, or we might not see them as being serious. Maybe we don't see that they're frequently exhibiting certain behaviors. So yeah, we do it for hearing, we do it for vision, we do it for other things. I think it's decent. I would want to know, do they have research yet on the benefits of this particular screening? Like, is it really correlated to what is really going on? You know, is there a lie factor built in so that the older kids can't lie their way out of it? You know, is it legit? We would want to be looking at those things. And of course, they're going to have to collect some data before we know for sure. So parents just need to realize, I think, that, hey, maybe it's better than nothing. And I say maybe because if it manipulates, like it's false positive, if it shows that a lot more kids are mentally ill than they are, that's not a good situation. So I would want to look into it more. Do I think there's a legitimate possibility of a good idea here? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Dr. Kathy, I wonder that too a little bit myself. You know, when we start testing for things, we end up inevitably finding the things we're testing for, right? What are some keys though for families like maybe like ours where, you know, bringing this into kind of a regular rhythm might be a challenge, but we also want to be alert to different mental health things that our kids might be dealing with. What are the things that we should kind of be alert to, knowing that this is a big deal right now for teens and kids themselves?
I want parents to really understand that there's no shame or blame here if they think their kids are really struggling. As we often say here at the ministry, the culture is chaotic and people are messy. So it is possible that children today are going to exhibit difficult behaviors. And whether they're ADD, ADHD, OCD, ODD, on the spectrum, you know, if they're learning challenged, there are real things that are going on. And we need not be afraid of finding that out because, again, early intervention is really smart and really a key. So there's no, I wouldn't want there to be fear that you would be found out as having a difficult child. They exist, and let's love well by implementing a strategy that would allow us to intervene with strategies earlier than later. So that's one response I would have. I also think that parents need to have a real say in this. Parents who are involved with their kids, parents who are involved with their kids, who play with their kids, who walk with their kids, who pick them up and drop them off and know what their kids are going through, they need to be consulted with for sure. What are you observing? What are you seeing? Really important that the parent be involved.
Yeah, Dr. Kathy, I think that's really helpful and important. I think, being mindful that kids are wrestling through things is really a valuable thing for us to acknowledge, and that those kids exist. I'm almost glad that there's not like a parent test, like which parents in the world are difficult to live with, right? Because we do exist, and I do put myself in that category. But I want to ask you this as we kind of close out, because I think that there are realities that sometimes we have a kid that we're just kind of concerned for, and we don't really maybe know how to move forward. What things should we kind of be awakened to or alert to that really do cause mental health challenges for kids that we need to be mindful of so that we can kind of address them or know that they exist in our kids' world? And then maybe how can we build strength for our young people who are experiencing some mental health challenges today? Are there just little simple things that we could do today to kind of build some resiliency for them?
Good questions. We believe at Celebrate Kids that everything starts with security and trustworthiness. So if a child is being raised in an environment that is not full of trust and security, there may be real challenges. Now, they may last or they may not last because there's intervention that happens more quickly. So are we honest and trustworthy? Are we dependable? Are we honest? Do we follow through? Do we apologize? Do we remember our kids' names? And that's a joke. Kids are like, they never call me by the right name. Well, if that happens, do we apologize and kind of laugh it off, et cetera? So security is huge. Consistency is huge. Apologizing is huge. Spending time with the kids where they know that they matter, putting your phone down. I will say that all of the time. Put your phone down and hang out with your kids and let them know that you're sacrificing your wants because they matter so much to you. Those are huge things to do. And then I think too, for watching for kids who are inconsistent, Wayne, if a child is typically outgoing and confident and eager to please, and all of a sudden isn't, something has happened. If a child is consistently patient and all of a sudden is impatient. If a child is optimistic and loves himself well and all of a sudden is self-critical and I can't do anything right, something has happened. That's not a mental health shift necessarily. That's a shift in the environment of that kid. A bully has entered in, a loved one who he respects has said something hateful that he's choosing to believe, etc. So we need to watch for inconsistencies and not assume it's mental health, but ask some questions to try to figure out what's going on.
As Dr. Kathy was talking, I was reminded of this passage in 1 Thessalonians. It comes out of chapter 5, and I'm going to begin reading at verse 12. Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord, and who admonish you. Hold them in the highest regard and love because of their work. Live in peace with each other. And we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive. Encourage the disheartened. Help the weak. Be patient with everyone. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. Rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. This passage just kind of sprung to mind from what Dr. Kathy was talking about today, partly because of how we are to encourage each other. Paul closes this first letter to the Thessalonian church with these instructions, saying that this is God's will for you to rejoice and pray and give thanks in all circumstances, and more than that, to live in such a way that we hold each other accountable, that we help those who are weak and encourage the disheartened, that we have patience with everyone. And I think in our churches, but also in our families, it's really important to practice this, to walk alongside each other and give encouragement to each other, but then also to teach an acknowledgement of those who are doing this with us and for us. So if you have people like this in your life, to tell your kids, man, I really love this friend. They step in and help me out. Do you have anyone like that? And asking our kids and teaching them that this is normal for them to have. I think doing that can maybe do some of the things that this survey on mental health is designed to do. But I think it also teaches our kids that they should be people who do this with others. I think teaching them and guiding them to do this can be a bright light that shines and cuts through some of the darkest times. I want to thank you for listening to the Celebrate Kids podcast in this, our daily segment, Facing the Dark. On behalf of Dr. Kathy Koch, my name is Wayne Stender, and we're really looking forward to spending the week with you here. And we will see you again tomorrow.